My child, stop scrolling for just a moment and listen carefully. This message is not appearing before you by accident. Out of all the videos you could have watched today, out of all the voices competing for your attention, your eyes stopped here. And I want you to know that there is a reason for that. I have been watching over you. I have seen the battles you never told anyone about. I have seen the nights when sleep would not come because your mind was full of worry. I have seen the questions you carried in silence, the prayers you whispered when nobody else was around, and the tears you tried so hard to hide. You have been wondering if things will ever change. You have been asking me, Lord, how much longer? How much longer must I wait? How much longer must I fight? How much longer before I see the answer to what I have been praying for? And today, before anything else, I want you to hear this. I have heard every prayer. Not one word has been lost. Not one tear has been wasted. Not one moment of your suffering has escaped my attention. But there is something else I need to tell you. Something is approaching. You can already feel it deep inside your spirit. The pressure has been increasing. The uncertainty has been growing. Things around you seem to be shifting in ways you cannot fully explain. There are moments when you feel excitement and fear at the same time, as if your heart knows something is about to happen before your mind can understand it. That feeling is not random. I have been preparing you. Many people will hear warnings and immediately become afraid, but this warning is different. This warning is actually your confirmation. It is confirmation that I have not forgotten you, confirmation that I am still working behind the scenes, confirmation that your waiting season has not been meaningless, confirmation that the battles you faced were not signs of abandonment, but signs of preparation. What if the thing you fear most is actually the doorway to the miracle you have been praying for? What if the delay was building the strength you will need for the blessing that is coming? What if the closed door that disappointed you was protecting you from something that would have harmed you? My child, I am telling you these things now because I do not want fear to interpret what I am doing. The days ahead may not look the way you expected. Some things will change. Some things will shake. Some things will leave your life. But do not mistake movement for destruction. Do not mistake transition for defeat. Do not mistake preparation for rejection. Because what is coming is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a chapter you have prayed for, cried for, and waited for longer than you realize. So stay with me. Listen closely, because what I am about to reveal may change the way you see everything that has happened in your life up to this very moment. My child, before I speak about where you are going, I want to speak about where you have been. Because there is a battle you fought that almost nobody knows about. People saw your smile, but they did not see the weight behind it. They heard you say, "I'm fine," but they did not hear the conversations happening inside your mind late at night. They saw you keep moving forward, but they did not see how many times you wanted to stop. I saw it all. I saw the days when you felt exhausted from carrying responsibilities that seemed too heavy for one person to bear. I saw the moments when disappointment hit your heart so hard that you wondered if anything would ever change. I saw the prayers that seemed to rise into silence, the questions that went unanswered, the doors that remained closed, the opportunities that slipped away, the people who walked away when you needed them most. I saw every one of those moments, and I want you to know something today. You were never fighting alone. There were times when you felt abandoned, times when you wondered if I was distant, times when you looked around and saw others moving ahead while you remained stuck in the same place. You asked yourself questions that you were afraid to say out loud. Did I do something wrong? Did God forget me? Why does everyone else seem blessed while I keep struggling? My child, I heard those questions, and I was closer than you realized. What you called silence was not absence. What you called delay was not rejection. What you called weakness was often the moment I was carrying you the most. I know about the tears nobody else knows about, the tears that fell after everyone else went to sleep, the tears you wiped away before walking into another day, the tears you were embarrassed to admit were there. I counted every one of them. Not one was ignored. Not one was forgotten. Not one was meaningless. I know about the battles inside your mind. The fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the constant pressure to keep going when your strength felt almost gone. The voice that kept whispering that things would never get better. The voice that told you to give up. The voice that tried to convince you that your story would never change. But look at you now. You are still here. You are still listening. You are still believing, even if only by a thread. Do you realize what that means? It means the battle did not defeat you. It means the darkness did not overcome you. It means that despite everything that tried to break you, something inside you kept holding on. That something was not an accident. It was my hand sustaining you. There were moments when you thought you had reached your limit. Moments when you believed you could not take another disappointment. Moments when you felt emotionally, mentally, and spiritually exhausted. Yet somehow, you made it through, not because you were strong enough on your own, but because I was strengthening you in ways you could not see. My child, the enemy wanted you to believe that your struggle was proof that I had abandoned you, but the truth is exactly the opposite. Many of the battles you faced were happening because your future carries more purpose than you understand. The pressure came because something valuable is inside you. The resistance came because your story is not over. The attacks came because there is a calling on your life that darkness cannot ignore. And while you were crying, praying, waiting, and wondering if anything was changing, I was watching every step. I was collecting every prayer. I was preparing every answer. I was working in places your eyes could not see. So today, before we go any further, I need you to release one lie, the lie that you have been forgotten, because you have not been forgotten for a single moment. I saw the battle you never told anyone about. I saw every wound. I saw every tear. I saw every silent cry for help. And I am telling you now that none of it was wasted. My child, I know there were many moments when you asked me a question that seemed to have no answer. Why am I still waiting? You prayed. You believed. You trusted. Yet the answer did not come when you expected it. The door remained closed. The situation remained unchanged. The promise seemed distant. And little by little, you began to wonder if the waiting meant that I had said no. But hear me clearly today. The waiting was never proof of my absence. The waiting was never proof that I had forgotten you, and the waiting was never proof that your prayers were being ignored. The waiting had a purpose. There are things I can only build in a season of waiting. Patience is built there. Faith is built there. Wisdom is built there. Trust is built there. You wanted immediate answers, but I was creating lasting strength. You wanted quick results, but I was preparing an enduring foundation. My child, if I had given you everything the moment you asked for it, many of the blessings would have become burdens. There were lessons you needed before certain doors could open. There was growth that had to happen before certain responsibilities could be trusted to you. There was healing that needed to take place before you could step into what I had prepared. Think about Joseph. The dream came early, the fulfillment came later. Between the promise and the palace were years of betrayal, waiting, and preparation. Think about David. He was anointed king long before he sat on the throne. There were caves before crowns, battles before victories, seasons of hiding before seasons of ruling. Think about Moses. He spent years in the wilderness before leading others to freedom. What looked like delay was actually preparation, and I have been doing the same thing in your life. You have been focused on the calendar. I have been focused on your character. You have been counting the days. I have been building the person who will be ready when the answer arrives. Because what I am bringing into your life is bigger than you realize. If the blessing requires a stronger version of you, then I must build that strength first. If the opportunity requires greater wisdom, then I must teach that wisdom first. If the miracle requires deeper faith, then I must grow that faith first. Nothing about this season has been wasted. Even the disappointments have been teaching you. Even the closed doors have been protecting you. Even the setbacks have been positioning you. There were paths you wanted to walk that would have led to heartbreak. There were opportunities you begged for that would have distracted you from your purpose. There were relationships you wanted to keep that could not go where I am taking you. At the time, you could not see it, but I could. I see the beginning and the end at the same time. I know what will help you and what will harm you. That is why some answers came slowly. That is why some doors stayed closed. That is why some things had to be removed before something better could arrive. My child, the waiting season was not punishment. It was preparation. It was not rejection. It was protection. It was not a sign that I was distant. It was a sign that I was working in ways you could not yet understand. And one day, very soon, you will look back on this season and realize something that will change your perspective forever. You will understand that if I had answered your prayer when you first asked, you would have received less than what I truly intended for you. The delay was not denying your blessing. The delay was increasing it. The waiting was not keeping you from your destiny. The waiting was leading you directly into it. So do not regret the season you are leaving behind. Do not despise the process. Do not believe that these months or years have been wasted, because while you were waiting for the promise, I was preparing you for the fulfillment. And what I have been doing behind the scenes is far greater than anything you can currently see. My child, one of the hardest things for you to accept has been the fact that you could not see what I was doing. You looked at your circumstances and saw little movement. You looked at your prayers and saw no immediate answers. You looked at your situation and wondered if anything was changing at all. But what you could not see was where I was working. Because some of my greatest works happen behind the scenes. Long before a tree appears above the ground, roots are growing beneath the surface. Long before a sunrise fills the sky, light is already moving toward the horizon. And long before a breakthrough becomes visible, I am already setting it into motion. While you thought nothing was happening, I was working in places your eyes could not reach. I was arranging circumstances. I was opening conversations. I was moving hearts. I was positioning people. I was creating connections that would matter later. I was removing obstacles that you never even knew existed. There were moments when you thought a door had closed because I had abandoned you. But the truth is that some doors closed because I was protecting you. You saw disappointment. I saw danger. You saw rejection. I saw redirection. You saw loss. I saw preservation. My child, there are things I protected you from that you may never fully understand on this side of eternity. There were relationships that looked promising but would have wounded your spirit. There were opportunities that seemed attractive but would have led you away from your purpose. There were paths you desperately wanted to walk that would have brought unnecessary pain into your life. Because I love you, I could not allow everything you wanted. I had to guide you toward what was best, even when it hurt, even when you misunderstood, even when you questioned my timing. While you were praying for one specific answer, I was preparing something greater than what you imagined. That is why some prayers seemed delayed. I was not ignoring them. I was improving them. I was taking what you asked for and shaping it according to my perfect wisdom. Many times, what you wanted was too small compared to what I planned to give you. You were praying for survival. I was preparing growth. You were praying for relief. I was preparing transformation. You were praying for one open door. I was preparing an entirely new season. And during that process, I was also working on you. Because blessings alone cannot change a life. Character changes a life. Faith changes a life. Trust changes a life. So while I was preparing your future, I was also preparing your heart. I was teaching you to trust me when the evidence was not visible. I was teaching you to walk by faith instead of by sight. I was teaching you that my promises remain true, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Every challenge carried a lesson. Every delay carried a purpose. Every setback carried hidden preparation. The enemy wanted you to believe you were stuck. But you were never stuck. You were being developed. You were being strengthened. You were being positioned. Think about how much you have changed. You may not realize it yet, but you are not the same person who began this journey. The struggles that nearly broke you also built you. The waiting that frustrated you also matured you. The battles that exhausted you also deepened your dependence on me. And now you are standing closer to your breakthrough than you have ever been before. That is why the enemy has been trying so hard to fill your mind with doubt lately. He wants you to quit before you see the results. He wants you to walk away before the harvest arrives. He wants you to interpret preparation as failure. But do not believe that lie. My child, there is movement happening right now, even if you cannot see it. There are answers already on their way. There are doors already beginning to move. There are opportunities already being arranged. There are people already being positioned to help you in the next season. And when everything begins to come together, you will realize something powerful. You will understand that I was working every single day. Not one moment was wasted. Not one prayer was forgotten. Not one tear fell unnoticed. While you thought I was silent, I was working. While you thought I was absent, I was preparing. While you thought I was delaying, I was protecting. And very soon you will begin to see the evidence of everything I have been doing behind the scenes. My child, there is a reason I have been speaking to your heart about preparation. There is a reason I have been asking you not to give up. There is a reason I keep reminding you that your waiting season was not wasted. It is because you are much closer to your breakthrough than you realize. Many people expect a breakthrough to arrive with a loud announcement. They imagine that before a miracle comes, everything will suddenly become easy. But often, the opposite is true. Very often, the signs that your breakthrough is near are hidden inside the very struggles you are facing right now. Let me show you what those signs look like. The first sign is that the pressure has increased. You have noticed it, haven't you? The battles seem more intense. The challenges seem more frequent. The emotional weight feels heavier than it did before. You may have wondered why things became harder after you started praying more, trusting more, and seeking me more. The answer is simple. Pressure often increases when a breakthrough is approaching. A seed experiences pressure before it breaks through the soil. A woman experiences pressure before new life is born. And many spiritual breakthroughs are preceded by seasons of unusual resistance. Do not let the pressure convince you that you are moving backward. Sometimes pressure is evidence that something is about to break open. The second sign is that the enemy has been fighting harder than before. The doubts have become louder. The distractions have become stronger. The temptation to quit has appeared more frequently. The enemy does not waste energy attacking what poses no threat to him. He attacks what he fears. And if the battle has intensified, it may be because your next season carries blessings, influence, healing, or purpose that he desperately wants to stop. Remember this: the closer the breakthrough, the louder the resistance. The third sign is that you no longer fit where you used to belong. Things that once satisfied you no longer satisfy you. Conversations that once interested you now leave you empty. Old habits no longer feel comfortable. Old environments feel too small for the person you are becoming. You may even feel disconnected from parts of your old life. Do not be alarmed. This is often a sign that I am preparing you for a new season. Growth creates change, and change often creates discomfort before it creates fruit. The fourth sign is that your hunger for me has been increasing. You find yourself wanting more prayer, more worship, more time in my presence, more understanding of my word. This is not an accident. When I am preparing someone for greater things, I draw them closer to me first. The deeper the calling, the deeper the dependence. The greater the assignment, the greater the need for intimacy with me. That stirring you feel in your spirit is preparation. I am strengthening your roots before I increase your influence. The fifth sign is that confirmation keeps appearing around you. Perhaps it comes through messages like this. Perhaps it comes through a sermon, a conversation, a verse, a prayer, a thought that keeps returning to your heart. You keep hearing similar themes repeated again and again. Hope, trust, preparation, breakthrough, purpose. This is often how I speak. I confirm my direction more than once because I want my children to walk forward with confidence. My child, none of these signs guarantee that life will suddenly become perfect tomorrow, but they do reveal something important. Movement is happening. The season is shifting. The ground beneath your feet is changing. You are not standing where you were a year ago. You are not even standing where you were a few months ago. You have grown. You have endured. You have survived battles that once seemed impossible. And now you are standing at the edge of something new. That is why I need you to keep going. Do not stop now. Do not turn back now. Do not allow fear to convince you to abandon the very path that is leading you toward your answer. Because what you have been praying for is closer than you think. The breakthrough is closer than you think. The restoration is closer than you think. The open door is closer than you think. And soon you will see with your own eyes that every prayer, every tear, every lesson, and every season of waiting was leading you to this very moment. My child, before we continue, I want you to pause for a moment. If this message is speaking directly to your heart, Do not ignore what you are feeling right now. That stirring inside you is not an accident. If you believe that God has been preparing you during this season of waiting, type, "Lord, I trust your timing," in the comments below. Let that declaration be a reminder to your own heart that God is still working, even when you cannot see it. And if this message has encouraged you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There are many people carrying silent battles today who need hope, encouragement, and a reminder that God has not forgotten them. By sharing this message, you may help someone hear exactly what they need at exactly the right moment. Now stay with me, because what God wants to reveal next may explain why the enemy has been fighting you so hard lately. My child, there is something you need to understand about the battles you have faced. Many times, you thought the attacks were proof that something was wrong with you. You thought the resistance meant you were failing. You thought the opposition was evidence that you were moving in the wrong direction. But what if the opposite is true? What if the attacks came because you were moving closer to the very thing the enemy feared most? The enemy does not waste his greatest efforts on what has no purpose. He does not invest his strongest resistance against a life that carries no threat to darkness. He attacks what he fears. And what he fears is not your past. He fears your future. He fears what will happen when you fully understand who you are in me. He fears the healing that is coming to your life. He fears the freedom that is coming to your mind. He fears the testimony that will come from everything you have survived. He fears the influence you will have when others see what I have done in your life. That is why the battle became so intense. Think about it. Why did the pressure increase right before you were ready to give up? Why did discouragement seem strongest when you were beginning to grow spiritually? Why did doubt become louder when your faith started becoming stronger? Because the enemy recognized movement before you did. He saw signs of growth before you noticed them. He saw strength developing inside you while you still felt weak. And he wanted to stop that process before it reached maturity. My child, many of the attacks you faced were never about your current situation. They were about your next season. The enemy saw possibilities that you could not yet see. He saw the potential for restoration. He saw the potential for breakthrough. He saw the potential for lives being impacted through your testimony. And because he could not stop my purpose, he tried to stop your confidence. He whispered lies. He filled your mind with doubt. He tried to convince you that your prayers were useless. He tried to make you believe that nothing would ever change. His goal was simple. If he could not destroy your destiny, he would try to make you walk away from it. But look at what happened. You are still here. You survived the battle. You survived the disappointment. You survived the setbacks. You survived the seasons when it felt like everything was against you. And that should tell you something important. The attacks failed. You may have been wounded. You may have been discouraged. You may have stumbled at times. But you did not quit. And because you did not quit, the enemy lost more ground than he realizes. Every prayer strengthened you. Every trial taught you something. Every challenge increased your dependence on me. The very things meant to stop you ended up preparing you. The very battles meant to weaken you ended up making you stronger. That is one of the greatest frustrations of the enemy. He intended harm. I created growth. He intended defeat. I created endurance. He intended fear. I created faith. My child, do not be discouraged by the size of the battle you have faced. Instead, let it remind you of the size of the purpose attached to your life. The attack was never about where you were. It was about where you are going. The resistance was never about your current season. It was about the breakthrough that is drawing near. And if the enemy fought this hard to keep you from reaching it, imagine how powerful the blessing must be that God has prepared ahead of you. The battle was real, but my purpose for your life is greater, and what the enemy feared most is already beginning to rise inside of you. My child, one of the reasons you sometimes feel uncomfortable in this season is because you are trying to compare yourself to the person you used to be. But I need you to understand something. You are not that person anymore. The journey has changed you. The battles have changed you. The waiting has changed you. The prayers have changed you. Even if you cannot fully see it yet, you have been transformed in ways that are deeper than you realize. There was a time when certain challenges would have completely overwhelmed you. Certain disappointments would have crushed your spirit. Certain delays would have caused you to walk away from your faith. But look at what has happened. You faced those challenges. You endured those disappointments. You survived those delays. And somehow, despite everything, you are still standing. That is not because life became easier. It is because you became stronger. Not stronger through your own effort alone. Stronger because I was shaping you through every season. My child, growth is often difficult to recognize when you are living through it. A tree does not notice itself growing every day, yet year after year it becomes stronger, taller, and more deeply rooted. In the same way, your spirit has been growing even when you felt stuck. Your faith is deeper than it was before. Your discernment is sharper than it was before. Your dependence on me is greater than it was before. You may still have questions. You may still have moments of weakness. But you are no longer the person who started this journey. The trials that once frightened you now teach you. The obstacles that once stopped you now strengthen you. The uncertainty that once controlled you no longer has the same power over your heart. Why? Because I have been developing something inside you that circumstances cannot take away. Character, wisdom, perseverance, trust. These are treasures that cannot be bought and cannot be stolen, and they were formed during the very seasons you wished would end. There are times when you look in the mirror and only see what still needs to change. You focus on your flaws, your mistakes, your weaknesses, your unfinished areas. But I see something different. I see progress. I see growth. I see faith that continued despite opposition. I see courage that kept moving despite fear. I see a heart that refused to quit even when the road became difficult. My child, do not overlook how far you have come. Take a moment and remember who you were before this season began. Remember the fears you carried. Remember the insecurities that controlled you. Remember how easily discouragement could pull you down. Now look at where you are. You have survived things you once thought would destroy you. You have overcome obstacles you never imagined you could overcome. You have made it through nights that felt endless, and each one of those victories has become part of your testimony. The enemy wanted the pressure to break you. Instead, it built you. He wanted the waiting to discourage you. Instead, it matured you. He wanted the battle to weaken your faith. Instead, it deepened your dependence on me. That is why you must stop viewing this season only through the lens of what you lost. Look at what was gained. Look at the strength that was built. Look at the wisdom that was developed. Look at the faith that was refined. Because all of it matters. All of it is preparing you for what comes next. My child, the person who is about to step into the next season is not the same person who entered the last one. You have been refined. You have been strengthened. You have been prepared. And that is exactly why you are ready for the door I am about to open. The old version of you prayed for this moment. The new version of you is prepared to walk through it. And what I am about to do in your life will reveal just how much you have grown without even realizing it. My child, for a long time you have been looking at closed doors. You have watched opportunities disappear. You have watched plans fall apart. You have stood before situations that seemed impossible to change. And there were moments when you wondered if those closed doors would remain closed forever. But I want you to hear me clearly now. The season of staring at closed doors is coming to an end, because I am opening a door that no one can shut. Not your critics, not your circumstances, not your past mistakes, not the enemy, and not even your own fears. When I decide it is time, no force on earth can stop what I have ordained. My child, many of the doors that closed behind you were never meant to be your final destination. You cried over some of them. You questioned me because of some of them. You even wondered if I had abandoned you because of some of them. But now you are beginning to understand something important. Not every closed door is a loss. Some closed doors are directions. Some closed doors are protection. Some closed doors are my way of preventing you from settling for less than what I planned. If those doors had remained open, you might never have walked toward the future I prepared for you. That is why I ask you not to mourn what I removed. Trust what I am replacing it with. Because what I am opening is greater than what was left behind. For some of you listening, this new door will be an opportunity you never expected. For others, it will be healing in an area where you almost gave up hope. For others, it will be restoration after a long season of loss. For some, it will be clarity after confusion. For others, it will be peace after years of anxiety. The form may be different, but the source is the same. It is my hand. And when my hand moves, things can change faster than you imagine. You have spent months, perhaps even years, wondering when something would finally shift. Yet I can accomplish in a moment what would take human effort years to achieve. Never underestimate what I can do when the appointed time arrives. My child, I want you to stop measuring your future by your present circumstances. Stop deciding what is possible based on what you see today. What you see today is not the full picture. There are conversations taking place that you know nothing about. There are opportunities forming that you cannot yet see. There are answers moving toward you that have not yet arrived. And there are doors already beginning to open. You may not hear the hinges moving yet. You may not see the light coming through the opening yet. But movement has already begun. This is why I need you to stay faithful. Do not allow disappointment from yesterday to blind you to what I am doing today. Do not allow fear of failure to stop you from walking forward when I call you. And do not let doubt convince you that nothing is changing, because something is changing. The season is changing. The atmosphere is changing. The direction of your story is changing. The very thing you prayed for in tears may soon stand before you as reality. My child, when this door opens, walk through it with confidence. Do not shrink back. Do not question whether you deserve it. Do not let insecurity talk you out of what I have prepared. You are not stepping into this new season because you earned it through perfection. You are stepping into it because of my grace, my timing, and my faithfulness. The door is not opening because circumstances became perfect. The door is opening because the appointed time has come. And when I open a door, no person can close it. No obstacle can stop it. No enemy can destroy it. For what I have prepared for you is already moving toward you, and soon you will see that the door you prayed for was closer than you ever imagined. My child, now that you are standing closer to your breakthrough than ever before, there is something I must warn you about. Fear often becomes loudest right before a miracle arrives. This is one of the enemy's oldest strategies. When he realizes he cannot stop what I am doing, he tries to convince you to walk away from it yourself. He whispers questions into your mind. What if it doesn't happen? What if you fail? What if you get your hopes up again and end up disappointed? What if nothing changes? These questions may seem harmless, but their purpose is dangerous. They are designed to make you doubt what I have spoken. They are designed to make you abandon your faith before the answer arrives. My child, fear always wants evidence before it believes. Faith believes before the evidence appears. That is why fear and faith are constantly fighting for your attention. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Faith focuses on who is in control. Fear looks at obstacles. Faith looks at promises. Fear remembers every disappointment. Faith remembers every time I have been faithful. You have a choice in this season. You can listen to the voice of fear, or you can listen to my voice. But you cannot follow both, because one voice leads to hesitation, the other leads to breakthrough. There will be moments when the next step feels uncomfortable. Moments when I ask you to trust me before you understand everything. Moments when the path ahead is not completely visible. Do not mistake uncertainty for danger. Many of my greatest blessings begin with a step of faith. When Peter stepped out of the boat, he did not have all the answers. When Abraham left his homeland, he did not know every detail of the journey. When David faced Goliath, he did not know exactly how the victory would unfold. They moved forward because they trusted me more than they trusted their fears. And I am asking the same thing of you. Do not let past disappointments become the lens through which you view your future. The last season is not this season. The previous setback is not the final chapter of your story. What did not happen yesterday does not determine what I can do tomorrow. My child, fear has stolen enough time from you. It has stolen enough peace, enough confidence, enough joy. Do not give it authority over your future as well. Whenever fear begins speaking, answer it with my promises. When fear says, "You are alone," remember that I am with you. When fear says, "Nothing will change," remember that I am the God who makes a way where there seems to be no way. When fear says, "It is impossible," remember that what is impossible for man is never impossible for me. The miracle you have been praying for may not arrive exactly the way you imagined, but do not allow that uncertainty to make you retreat. stay faithful, stay prayerful, stay expectant, because the enemy wants you to focus on what could go wrong. I want you to focus on what I am capable of doing, my child. Do not let fear talk you out of the very blessing you have been praying for. Do not step back when I am calling you forward. Do not abandon hope when the answer is drawing near. Keep trusting, keep believing, keep walking, because your miracle is not behind you, it is ahead of you. And fear will never be allowed to have the final word over a life that remains in my hands. My child, after everything you have heard today, we arrive at a very important moment. Not a moment of fear, not a moment of pressure, but a moment of decision, because every season of preparation eventually leads to a choice to trust or to doubt, a choice to move forward or to stay where you are, a choice to believe my promises or to believe your fears. And today, that choice stands before you. I have shown you that your waiting was not wasted. I have shown you that I have been working behind the scenes. I have shown you that the battles were not proof of abandonment. I have shown you that the door is beginning to open. Now the question becomes this: what will you do with what I have revealed to you? Will you continue measuring your future by your past, or will you trust me with what comes next? Will you allow disappointment to define your expectations, or will you believe that I am still able to do exceedingly more than you imagine? My child, faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is choosing to trust me even when some questions remain unanswered. Faith is saying, Lord, I do not understand everything, but I trust your heart. Faith is taking the next step even when the entire path is not visible. And that is what I am inviting you to do right now. I am not asking you to have every answer. I am not asking you to know exactly how your breakthrough will arrive. I am asking you to trust the one who does. The enemy wants you to wait until you see proof before you believe. But faith says, I will believe before I see. Faith says, I will trust before I understand. Faith says, I will keep walking because God has never failed me. My child, this is your moment. Not because everything has already changed, but because your decision today will determine how you walk into what is coming next. You can carry fear into the future, or you can carry faith. You can carry doubt, or you can carry trust. You can focus on the obstacles, or you can focus on the God who is greater than every obstacle. So today, I invite you to make a decision. Choose faith over fear. Choose hope over despair. Choose trust over uncertainty. Choose to believe that the God who carried you through every previous battle will carry you through the next season as well. And when you make that decision, something powerful begins to happen. Your circumstances may not change overnight, but your perspective will. Your strength will. Your peace will. Because the moment you place your future in my hands is the moment fear begins to lose its grip on your heart. And from that place of faith, you will be ready to step into everything I have been preparing for you all along. My child, one day you will look back on this season from a completely different perspective. The questions that trouble you now will no longer carry the same weight. The delays that frustrated you will finally make sense. The closed doors that broke your heart will reveal the protection that was hidden behind them. And the waiting that once felt unbearable will become part of the testimony you share with others. One day you will see how every step was connected. You will see how I was guiding you even when the path seemed unclear. You will see how I was protecting you from things you could not see. You will see how I was preparing you for blessings that required a stronger, wiser, and more faithful version of yourself. My child, if I showed you everything now, faith would not be necessary. But one day, what is hidden today will become clear. You will understand why certain people had to leave, why certain opportunities never worked out, why certain prayers were answered differently than you expected. And when that day comes, you will not say, God forgot me. You will say, God knew exactly what he was doing. You will realize that my timing was never late. My plan was never broken. My promises were never empty. Every tear had a purpose. Every battle carried a lesson. Every season of waiting was building something eternal inside you. So do not lose heart now. Do not judge the story before it is finished. The chapter you are living today is not the final chapter. I am still writing. I am still working. I am still leading you toward the future I prepared long before you ever prayed for it. And when you finally arrive there, you will understand something that seems difficult to believe today. The waiting was not your punishment. The waiting was one of my greatest gifts, because it prepared you to receive everything I had planned for you from the very beginning. Heavenly Father, thank you for speaking to us today. Thank you for reminding us that we are not forgotten, abandoned, or alone. Even in the seasons of waiting, you have been working. Even in the battles we did not understand, your hand has been guiding us. Lord, help us trust you more deeply. When fear tries to rise, fill our hearts with faith. When doubt whispers lies, remind us of your promises. Give us the strength to keep moving forward, even when we cannot see the entire path ahead. Father, heal every wounded heart listening to this message. Bring peace where there has been anxiety, hope where there has been discouragement, and strength where there has been weariness. Teach us to wait with confidence, knowing that your timing is perfect and your plans are good. Help us release what you are asking us to let go of, and give us courage to walk through every door you open. Let our lives be a testimony of your faithfulness and your love. We place our future into your hands today. We choose faith over fear, trust over worry, and hope over despair. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. My child, before you leave this message, I want you to do something important. Do not let these words simply pass through your mind. Let them settle into your heart. Today, make a declaration of faith. Not because you have seen every answer, not because every problem has disappeared, not because every prayer has already been fulfilled, but because you choose to trust God even before you see the outcome. If this message spoke to you today, I want you to type this declaration in the comments. Lord, I trust you even before I see the miracle. Write it as an act of faith. Write it as a reminder to yourself that God is still working behind the scenes. Write it as a declaration that fear will not have the final word over your life. And if you are believing for a breakthrough, a healing, a restoration, an open door, or a miracle in any area of your life, let this comment be your way of saying, God, I am placing this situation into your hands. If this message encouraged you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need hope today. You never know who is waiting for a reminder that God has not forgotten them. Remember this: the waiting was not wasted. The battle was not meaningless. The delay was not rejection. God is still working. God is still leading. God is still faithful. And the same God who carried you through yesterday is already preparing your tomorrow. Stay strong. Keep believing. Keep praying. Your story is not ending here. Your testimony is just beginning. God bless you.